You're Wearing It Wrong is actually formerly known as Woo with Style. So I started this company roughly a year ago, and we're working on launching our site for men's fashion online. So we're going to start with talking about guys, and I'm going to break down everything for you into hopefully bite-sized pieces, and then we'll go into a little bit of a backstory on me, you know, how I became a style expert. And so if more women come in the middle, we'll open it up for questions from the guys before we start with the women's section last. So you guys will be free to go. I don't want to bog you down too much with all of this at once. But for the women who will hopefully come more in the middle, we'll go into the women. So I'll make sure that I keep everything that's pertinent to you guys in the beginning. So I guess the first question would be that you might have is, why should you even care? So basically, when you think about your presentation on a job interview, actually most of it comes from your body language. Over 50% of your communication is through your physical attributes, whether that's how you talk. Actually, so what you say, how you say it, and then everything else, which is basically what I cover. So it's not just about what you wear, it's also how you wear it. So for example, posture is a big key factor. I've noticed this with a lot of guys where you could be wearing the best outfit ever, but if you're hunched over and you're slouching, you're not going to look as good as you could. So posture is very important for a number of reasons. Not only does it make your clothes look better when you're standing up straight and tall with your shoulders back and your chest up, it also conveys confidence, which is a key factor to, why would somebody even want to hire you? If you don't believe in you, then why would someone else believe in you? So there's a correlation between, I've found, between body language and confidence. So when you're on the interview, keep that in mind. So why else should you care? Well, we all know that during the recession, the unemployment rate in the United States was roughly 10%. Now it's getting better. It's 7.3% is the national average. So things are progressing slowly. But basically what that boils down to is you have to be, it's a tough job market right now. So you have to be as competitive as you possibly can. You don't want to give an employer, a potential employer, any reason to doubt your abilities, your credibility, and that's where fashion comes in, because the whole point behind what I teach is that your clothes should reflect who you are on the inside, your character, your values, and your goals and aspirations. So I like to help people bring what's on the inside out through their clothes. And also it's very important that students and graduates are not very intimidated, because it's very important that you keep your cool and you're on top of your game. So when you're wearing something that you feel comfortable in and you look good, you're going to be able to focus more on what you're saying during your interview as opposed to fidgeting and worrying about how clothes are going to look on you. How many of you are current students that are looking for internships? Okay. And how many are about to graduate and looking for full-time jobs? Okay, a few. And maybe there's some career changers out there that, or just people, okay. Well, I was a career changer. I studied here at CMU undergrad, and I studied materials engineering. However, after doing internships, I realized that that was not really the right place for me. So I moved to New York and worked in the fashion industry, and that's where I picked up a lot of the tricks of the trade that I teach now. So especially if you're focused on transitioning into a different job industry, you need to be more aware of what's considered good style in that industry, or appropriate attire, rather. The reason I say fashion is business and style is personal is because fashion is about creating trends. When you're on a job interview, conservative is the key word. So you don't want to do anything risky. But some people take that to the opposite extreme, and they don't, even dress up enough. So, for example, I've spoken with some recruiters that have interviewed CMU students recently, and I found some of the biggest problems that they saw with people and how they dressed. For guys, The first one was wrinkled clothes. You know, it looks like you just rolled out of bed. So you need to be mindful of that. And I'm aware that, well, actually over the weekend, I was at a friend's house and her boyfriend did not know how to operate an iron. So I had to take over that role and iron out his pants so that he didn't look like, you know, he just had these pants balled up on the ground and threw them on last minute. So be aware of that. If you don't own an iron, they're really cheap, $10, Target. Borrow one. Somebody in your dorm or some roommate, somebody's bound to have one. When in doubt, watch a YouTube video. If you don't know how to iron, there's plenty of tutorials there. So you don't want to be too casual either. So jeans and t-shirts is never appropriate for an interview. And you might say, wow, who would do that? But I actually spoke to someone who did see that from a recent graduate who came to the interview to a startup company, a software company, came in jeans and t-shirts. I actually had that too. I hire for my company as well. And a guy came in, and now it was a nice t-shirt and jeans, but still, you have to be mindful that your appearance is reflecting what the message you want to convey. And what the message that jeans and t-shirt conveys is that you really don't care. So make sure that you're not giving off that message. You don't want to look cookie cutter either. If you're wearing a suit, which you should be wearing a suit, they call it business formal is the technical term for interview appropriate attire. It should be a dark suit, two-piece suit, so that's a suit jacket and pants, dress pants, and you should buy them together. Don't buy them separately. They need to be made of the same color fabric, or else it's going to be too jarring, and you don't want to give someone a reason to pay attention to something that you don't want them to pay attention to. So clean your shoes. If you're wearing dark pants, which you should on an interview, whether it's a black, dark charcoal color, dark navy, a dark color pant, you should wear darker shoes to be considered conservative attire, and never wear light colored socks because that's going to draw attention. Your eye is going to go straight to those white, like raggedy gym socks that you work out in. So you should definitely invest in some nice socks that are wool, which will help you absorb sweat if that's any other reason that you need. But they should be dark and they should be of a thin woven material, not just some tube socks that are black, Nike socks. Don't do that. Because when you sit down and you're face to face with someone, which you could be on an interview, they're going to see that because they're right in front of you. So again, you want to draw the attention to where you want it on your face because you're talking to them, you're trying to convey your strengths to them. So make sure that they're paying attention to the right thing. The biggest problem, the most important thing when it comes to wearing any clothes is fit. You could buy a $100 suit or a $1,000 suit. And the guy who's wearing a $100 suit that fits him is going to look much better than the guy in the $1,000 suit, or $10,000 for that matter, if it doesn't fit. And the reason that is because, here's an example. You can see the guy on the left here, he looks pretty outdated, like you might almost say 90s, because it's very baggy. The jacket is way too big. It's probably at least 2 sizes too big. When you're buying a suit jacket, you should always try on the jacket and make sure it fits in the shoulders. By that, I mean that your seams should be right on the curve of your shoulder. So if you think about it like a 90-degree angle, your shoulder here, it should be right, sticking out where that 45-degree would go. So like this, here's 45, right on the edge. That's where your jacket should go. If it's down here, if the shoulder seam, and by shoulder seam I mean where the sleeve meets the body of the jacket, if it's down here, that means it's too big. If it's way up here, that means it's too small. So always check the fit in the shoulders first. You can always get someone at Josse Banks is a good place for suits. Even Men's Warehouse, they actually have tailors there. So that was another key thing, is that your tailor is your best friend. So I've noticed a lot of guys don't even know where to find a tailor, let alone how to actually use one or take their clothes there. So make sure that the sleeves on your suit jacket are the right length. A tailor can help you adjust it. Suits are made to be adjusted for different sizes. And also the pants are not too long. I've seen that a lot. This guy, you know, you can see here, it's kind of bulging out at the bottom near his shoes, and that's not doing anything for him, you know. It's making him look bigger and more overweight and shorter, actually. So when you have a more streamlined look, which this is a very high fashion look, you don't have to go this extreme. But places like Banana Republic, J. Crew, they have very nice suits that are appropriate for business interviews. So another thing, and this sounds ridiculous, I know, but I've talked to a CMU alum who works at a hedge fund, and he told me, I hope this person isn't in the room right now. He recently interviewed someone here on campus, and he said that their hands were oily. And I said, you know, maybe they had put on lotion, I don't know. He said they were dirty. He said they should have just washed their hands and they should have showered. So basic things like hygiene, you need to make sure you're not, you know, smelling, use deodorant, because again, that's going to detract from whatever you're trying to convey to your interviewer. Also, if you need to carry things with you to the interview, if it's on campus here, you can bring a backpack, but if it's, say, your interview's in the Career Center, you can drop your backpack off, you know, at the front desk or wherever they tell you to. You don't want to be wearing a suit, carrying a backpack. It sends kind of mixed messages. You want to portray that you are, you know, actually looking the part of the role that you're interviewing for. So another option is to carry a briefcase, again in a darker color. Make sure it's not too athletic, you know, with like Nike logo or any kind of sports, you know, insignia on it. Something streamlined, clean, you know, a messenger type bag works as well. If you need to carry your resume or, I don't know, a portfolio or whatever you might have for your interview. One of the biggest things I've noticed wearing clothes besides the suit is the shirt for guys is always too big, I've noticed. In most cases, and now I'm talking most guys that are not overweight. If you're overweight, often it could be, actually their shirt's usually too big too. The way you can tell is if you pinch the fabric on the side of your shirt, if you're pinching off more than like 2 inches on each side, that means it's too big. Now something you can do, either take it to a tailor, or another thing you could do is simply what they call the military tuck. Feel free to Google it. There's plenty of tutorials about it online. You basically pinch the fabric on the sides of your shirt. Here, I'll step out so you can see. And you fold it backwards, and then you tuck it into your pants. So it's a way of making your shirt look more fitted than it actually is. It's like a styling trick. So that's one thing you can do. You don't want your sleeves to be too long. When you reach out to shake your interviewer's hand, which you should be doing, your sleeve should come to this little ball on your elbow. Sometimes if your shirt sleeve is too short, it's going to ride up and disappear into your jacket, or if it's too long, it could go all the way down to your knuckles and it's covering your hand. That's not going to work either. So just be aware, those are the main things with shirts that you need to be careful about. Also check the shoulders, that's how you know if it fits. But also be aware of the extra fabric on the sides and the length of the sleeves. Ties, you should wear a tie if you're dressing for an interview that's, you know, anything in a business field, high-tech companies. You always want to get the information about what you should wear to the interview. When in doubt, always ask. That was the #1 advice that I got from talking to people, recruiters and hiring managers of employers, is that they've seen people come in. When I asked them what are the biggest mistakes you've seen, they said, well, they should have just called and asked or emailed or whoever your contact is there. If you know somebody who works there, or maybe you're friends through Facebook or LinkedIn, but I think the safest bet is to contact the HR person at the company. If they don't have one, just call the main number and ask the person who answers the phone, who can I talk to about HR at your company, and what should I be wearing, what's considered appropriate for an interview here. For example, a friend of mine, another software startup CEO, said he interviewed someone and they just didn't ask. And it kind of like made him like, why didn't he ask? Because he said there's such a thing as being overdressed for an interview as much as there is underdressed. So you want to find that right balance for the company and the culture, because you want them to feel like you're actually able to fit into their company. If they can see you and think that, yes, this person looks like they could work here, they fit into the culture, then that's going to, you know, make you stand out even more. So when I talk about don't look generic and cookie cutter, that just means that you want to, even no matter how conservative your look is, you want to show something of your personality, whether it's through your glasses or through your watch or something, because if you're sitting in a room full of people waiting to be interviewed and everybody looks the same, everybody's obviously probably qualified for the job, so their resumes all look the same. It's so competitive nowadays, you really need to stand out. So one way you can do that is to show your personality. Whether it's a tie, don't go too crazy with the colors and patterns. You want to wear a solid color tie if you're on an interview, and probably a darker color as well. So subtle things like texture, for example. This is an example of something textured that, you know, it's the same color, but it's texture, so it makes it look more interesting. It's not just plain solid one tone and color. So let's see, what else do we have? Business casual. Okay, so once you've gotten the job and you've started to work, you want to know, obviously, in most cases, what you're wearing to the interview is not going to be what you're going to be wearing to the office on a daily basis. So again, you want to find out as much as you can, research the company, go to their websites. A lot of companies now have pictures of their, you know, they're trying to sell their company to people, to recruits. So, you know, just do your research, and you want to make sure that you actually know enough about the company, and that can actually help you in the interview as well. If they ask you, do you have any questions at the end, you should have a question. I've talked to a lot of people, and you want to seem interested in the company. So do your research, find something interesting about the site, and just mention it, because if they ask you, they're not just asking it to ask. They really want to see, you know, if you've been paying attention to what they're saying, and if you actually care enough and actually want to work at their company. And I can tell you firsthand, being a CEO, one of the first things that, you know, beyond qualifications and beyond obviously clothes, I look for passion. You know, I want to know that this person actually cares about this company and is going to work hard and do what they need to do to help the company grow and succeed. So I think that's one of the key things that employers are looking for, and not enough people convey during the interview. Don't be shy. It's okay to be nervous. That means that you actually care, so that's kind of a good sign. Try not to be too fidgety, because again, all of this plays into your whole vibe. You want to match your energy to the energy of your interviewer, and if they see a good fit, and you're, you know, obviously you meet the qualifications and everything else that, you know, they're looking for, then that's going to help you out. It's these little things, these little details that, you know, add up, because a lot of people don't have them. So it's to your advantage. So here's just another quote. I'm sorry, it showed up twice here, but at least they can take a shower. Like I told you, it's the smallest things that make, you know, the biggest difference. So showing your skills through your clothes. So this is whether you're in a creative field or technical, business, nonprofit, government. What employers are looking for nowadays is marketable skills. So you want to make sure that what you're wearing and your outward appearance matches your resume. You know, if you say that you're detail-oriented, don't come to the interview missing like buttons and they're like not lined up straight, because you know, make sure. I've seen that a lot. Like that draws my eyes so fast when I'm talking to someone and they're missing like a button of their shirt. Like either it's gone or they just didn't button it. I don't know why, but you know, if your resume says you're detail-oriented, your clothes should reflect that. If you know, you guys are all CMU, that means you're smart. So if you're smart, you should dress smart. Don't look stupid. So it's simple things, you know. Don't look like you just rolled out of your dorm and came to the interview. Pay attention to the messages that what you are wearing is conveying to people. It should show your personality, it should show your goals, your values, and hopefully that matches with what your employer is looking for. I already talked about researching the company. You want to make sure that you know what the culture's like, whether you email them, talk to their HR director, find out. Do whatever you have to do to find out, because that's one of the biggest things. If you walk into an interview and you don't look like you fit into their company, you're going to have to go above and beyond to prove that you actually deserve to work there and you actually, you know, should be there. So, like I said, look the part. So before I open up for some questions, keep in mind, when in doubt, ask. I can't stress that enough. That's the biggest thing you can do, because the number one rule when it comes to style is there are no rules. You just have to use your common sense, and part of using your common sense is, if you don't know, ask. Turn off your phone. I've had interviews with people, and we're sitting at a table and their phone goes off, and I say, okay, are you even paying attention? Number one, you should not put your phone on the table during the interview. Keep it in your bag and silence it. Turn it off, silence it, do whatever you need to do. You don't want any distractions, either through your clothes or electronically. So smile. That was one of the things another recruiter said, was that, look excited, look like you actually want the job. It's simple things like that people just forget. Obviously you're nervous, you're probably stressed out, you got finals or midterms or whatever projects going on, but that's the simplest thing to do, is smile, shake their hand, be professional, and look the part. If you have any questions, I will take them now. If you don't want to, or you're embarrassed, feel free to email me. Go to our website, you'rewearingitwrong.com. It'll take you to Woo with Style while we're transitioning. We're rebranding right now. So fill out the contact form. You can send me an email and I will get back to you. The best thing you can do is send me a picture of what you're planning to wear, or if you're looking at things online, everywhere online now has pictures. So just say, okay, this is the suit and this is me, so I can try to match the person, because it's not just about, like I said, it's not just about what you wear, it's how you wear it. Not everything looks great on everybody, so you want to make sure that it fits, and smile. Okay, any questions? Yes?
I have a question about business casual.
Uh-huh.
You had a slide on what it's not.
Right.
But a lot of the info sessions are business casual, and there's a wide range of what
Yes.
I see. I see some people in jeans and t-shirts. They just are there for the food, it seems.
Yes, you're right.
And then I have people in dress pants that are black and a long sleeve button-down shirt.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle, there are people with khakis and short sleeve polo.
Yes.
What sorts of things would be good for that sort of info session, business casual type deal?
Okay, that's a really good question. You're right, I kind of breezed through that. Basically, I took a picture of this guy out on the street. I do that because it helps me remember the don'ts, which are way more important. So I would say, as long as you're not looking like this, that's one point in your favor. Now, to answer your question, definitely don't wear jeans. Jeans is not business casual. It's casual. Let me see. If I could use some chalk here, I could draw a little diagram for you of I hope everybody can see this. I am an engineer, so. Okay, so we have dressy here at the top, or formal, whatever you want to call it. And this would be casual. This is trendy. And this is classic. So you want to avoid everything over here. So things that are trendy and dressy would be something you'd wear to the club. So whether that is, some nice dark denim jeans, some kind of brand, with logos on it, a graphic T-shirt, that would be actually more casual. Sweatpants, anything athletic style. Over here is out. So dressy is going to be, up here is your interview looks. What they call business formal. And then down here would be more casual and classic. So this would be your biz cash, or business casual. So what that is khakis, like you said. You could wear black pants, as long as they're not jeans. Chinos, khakis, Nothing with cargo pockets, no shorts. So yeah, dress pants or slacks, as some people call them, trousers. Those are for pants. For tops, definitely a long sleeve button down. I would say a polo is definitely more casual. That's something you could probably wear with shorts out on the weekend. So unless that's something that you've seen around the office, when in doubt, go a little bit more dressy until you see what people are wearing. And if you see, I mean, I don't even go by that because so many people make mistakes. Ask someone who knows. Ask someone, in the HR department. That's going to be your best bet. Other things you could wear vests, like sweater vest. You could wear a sweater over your button-down shirt in the fall, winter. Layering is good. Let's see. What else? Anything else?
Yeah, for shoes.
Shoes.
You should, because I've been wearing not loafers, but it's like Sperry's, boat shoes.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
Yes, those are definitely casual.
Okay.
Because think about the name, boat shoes. It's meant to be worn out recreationally, not to an office. So yeah, those are nice shoes. They're very on trend. I do like them on guys, but yeah, not for the office. I would say loafers, or slip-ons as they would call them. Lace-up shoes that are what they call Oxfords. Desert boots, like those are chukka boots as they call them now. Those would be something that you could wear for business casual. They're usually like a suede kind of material. What else? I would just say, as a pet peeve, stick to, don't go with square-toed shoes. No offense to anybody in here who's wearing square-toed shoes right now, but they're kind of outdated. It's kind of like the guy in the 90s kind of look. So yeah, those are the types of shoes I'd say. Shoes are very important, so definitely have, you could have a brown or black pair. Black, the darker it is, the more formal it is. You could always just keep that rule in mind when it comes to colors. Black is probably the most formal. If you have a choice between a black and a navy or charcoal gray suit, I would go with the navy or charcoal gray, because when you think of a black suit, sometimes, he could be like a waiter in a high-end restaurant, or he could be going to a funeral. So stick to, it's kind of a little bit too serious, a little too formal. I mean, you can wear it, but if you have the choice, go with a dark charcoal gray or navy colored suit for an interview. For business casual, yeah, you could wear navy pants, brown pants, khaki color, lighter, stone colored, and anything else that I didn't cover? Yes?
What are your rules on stripes?
Stripes, that's a good question. Obviously, I don't have time to go into everything, but stripes can either make you look taller if they're vertical stripes. Because of the way our eyes work, our eyes are drawn to patterns. And when we see vertical patterns, our eyes want to keep going with that. So if you want to look taller or slimmer, always wear dark colors if you want to look slimmer. Anything light is going to make you look bigger. If you want to look taller, go with vertical stripes, pin stripes, chalk stripes, certain types of plaid, like a subtle plaid, works for that. Horizontal stripes are going to basically cut you in half or make you look wider. So if you're extremely tall, for example, 6'2" and above, that's when I would say go with some horizontal stripes. And as long as you're not too big, because those are going to make you look even bigger. So yeah, stick to dark solids if you want to look slimmer. Most guys carry a lot of their weight in their midsection. So if you want to cover your gut or your beer belly, do it with darker colors. And anything that's drawing attention towards your face is going to detract from the tension at your waist. Unless you're wearing two very different colors on the top and bottom. For example, white on top and black on the bottom. That would be the worst thing I would say for a guy who's overweight, because the eye is going to be drawn right to that line in the middle at the waist, because that's where the contrast is. I'm sorry, I'm getting into a lot of details here. But to answer your question, dark colors for slimming, vertical stripes for elongating, horizontal stripes are good. If you want to draw attention upwards, you could have some stripes up here. If you're really tall and you don't want to look freakishly tall, mix up the colors. Wear different colors on the top and the bottom. Wear a belt. That's going to you know, draw a horizontal line and cut you in half and basically balance out your proportions of your body.
What kind of ties do you wear with the striped shirt?
With the striped shirt? Okay, like vertical stripes? That is a good question. I would stick with, because that's a little bit more advanced, it's trickier. Matching patterns and patterns is very tricky. The only tip I could say, if you do want to do it, if you want to try it and risk it, is make sure the patterns are the similar scale. You don't want to have it, let's see, I can't really explain it very well without having a visual representation, but to play it safe, I would say don't do that and go with a texture instead of a pattern. So they have these knit ties now that are, you know, kind of slimmer, but they're knitted. It's almost like a sweater type material. I really like those. Anything like that's like a different, besides silk, you know, something that's got like some texture to it, I think would look better. Or I would say as long as it's matching the similar colors in the shirt, that's another safe way to do it without actually seeing it. That's all I could say.
Can you wear black shoes on a khaki?
Black shoes and what?
On a khaki pants.
In khaki pants? I would say no, because like I said, black is more dressy and khaki pants are more casual. The lighter the color, the more casual it is. So it's like you're kind of mixing two things up. So I would definitely wear dark brown or tan, or I don't know what other color shoes you might have, but yeah, with khakis, definitely don't wear black.
For business carrier, what's the policy on short sleeve, button down, or rolled up shirt, like rolled up sleeves?
Okay, I'd say it depends on the work environment. Technically, short sleeves are on the more casual side, so I would stick with a long sleeve unless you're told otherwise. It's always safer to go with a long sleeve.
Do you think it's appropriate to wear a suit when they require you to, their dress code is like a business casual?
Yes, for the interview, wear a suit. Always wear a suit, no matter what the dress code is. But like I said, you definitely want to call and check. But if it's a bigger company like General Electric, or you know, I used to work there, you want to, suit is the safe bet. Suit is what they call business formal. That is an interview. A dark suit is what you should be wearing to the interview. Now, if you're working at a startup company or something different, that is going to be probably a little bit overdressed. So that's why it's very important to call and make sure that, you know, ask them what is appropriate to wear, you know, for an interview here. Not only what is the dress code for working, but, you know, what would you recommend for interview? Okay. Kevin.
Let's say, you know, it seems like fashions, thick ties, thin ties, you know, like 3 buttons, 4 buttons on suits.
Yes.
I mean, fashion's always changing.
Yes.
Let's say you're living on a limited budget. What are some good staples for men to have, like must have in your closet? That's
a great question. I forgot actually, one tip here is if you know, have an interview coming up, for some reason you can't get one, I actually found on CMU's website they have a suit lending program, so you can actually do that. Now, if you have a normal, I don't want to say normal, more average type body, I would do that, because, you know, as long as you're like around average height, average build, you're not going to have too many problems with fit, because you're not going to be able to get those adjusted for you. But if you're kind of maybe overweight or really tall or really short, I would definitely try to get your own, because then you're going to be able to make the fit adjustments. And the cheapest place, I mean, it sounds weird, but Goodwill. You know, you can find suits there and get them tailored for very inexpensively. Now back to your question, for staples, always err on classic conservative side. So for that, it's a 2-button blazer. And for ties, nothing too extreme, so nothing too skinny, nothing too wide. So, you know, medium width tie, I think between 2 to 3 inches at the widest part is ideal. And the way you want to match your tie to your blazer or your suit jacket is the lapel. So if you, and again, same thing with the lapels as with the ties, nothing too thin, that's going to be really trendy, nothing too wide, that's going to be really outdated. So always just try to balance it, keep it balanced. And yeah, your width of your tie should relate to the width of your jacket lapel, which is the part that goes around your collar and comes down into the buttons. And for pleated pants are good if you have a little bit extra weight in your midsection. It gives you a little bit more room, but they are kind of outdated. They're coming back in a trend, but stick with flat front. It's more modern looking. And in terms of cuffs, if you're short, don't do cuffs. If you're tall, do cuffs. When in doubt, don't do cuffs. Yes?
Like, what's the difference between a 2-button blazer and a 3-button blazer?
Okay, there really isn't a lot of difference other than obviously the way it's made, but basically when you have a 3-button, it's kind of shortening the opening between, so imagine this is like if you have it buttoned, this is the opening. So if you have a 2-button, you're gonna have a little bit more of an opening, so it's kind of, I mean, 2-button is more classic, I would say, than 3. 3 looks good on really tall guys because again, this shorter like area here that's exposed makes them look less tall. So the bigger the area, the more elongated you're going to look. So that's why I usually go with 2 buttons for guys. What else is the difference?
It's like for 3 buttons, do you button the top 2 or only the middle one?
Always leave the bottom button unbuttoned, always. And when you sit down, open it, because otherwise it's going to be bunchy, and you don't want that. Yes.
Can you wear a plain tie and a plain shirt all the time?
White, you mean? White tie?
White or gray, so a brown tie and a gray shirt.
Brown tie and a gray shirt. I think it depends. Dark and dark. I'd really have to see it, I think, but I would not recommend that for an interview look. It's not classic. So classic conservative shirts and tie combinations would be a white shirt. You know, you can never go wrong with a white shirt. Almost every guy has a white shirt. That's going to be kind of more dressy look. You could do a light blue, you know, and a navy tie. Depends on the color of your suit, so. Send me a picture if you need any more. Yes?
What's the difference if somebody's going to have an online video interview?
Oh, like a Skype interview?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a very good question. I've had some Skype interviews myself. So I would say keep everything the same. I mean, what happens if during the interview, you have to get up and get your resume or get something and they see you're wearing like your pajama pants, so don't think because it's that you should dress down. Again, call and ask. You know, try to talk to somebody in the HR department or administrative assistant or someone who knows the company. But yeah, definitely don't like just dress from the top up, like, because you never know. It's live, so.
And where should we put the computer? Mm-hmm. Where should we do the interview?
Somewhere with good light. Like a room like this would be good, except you don't want that glare. If you're in your dorm or your apartment or somewhere, definitely try not to be in your bedroom because that might send the wrong message. So maybe in a kitchen if it's by a window, or you know, just pay attention to the background. Ideally, you want like a solid, like this kind, like a solid white or solid color background. So there's no distractions. You don't want like clutter or artwork or anything. That's going to take away from them paying attention to you.
Thank you so much, Angela, for kind of taking us through this first part. Appreciate it.